And now, for no reason, a little tale for your amusement, inspired by these random cards. They come from the late 1800s in cigarette packages, and I found them when I was in Australia a while ago. Enjoy. Oh, dearie dear. Oh, dearie me, muttered Regimen under his breath as he hurried down the street into the blazing midday sun. Surely they will notice, and I'll be shamed by the jeers and laughter. But he couldn't stop to remedy the situation. The letter he was tasked to deliver was just too darn important. It was addressed to Sir Salamander Smythe, a cantankerous but important magistrate in the municipal granola factory. Oh, Regimen moaned, because he really didn't know any other ways to express his consternation. He had been forced to finish his schooling midway through level 2 because he had been conscripted into the prestigious Manchester Postal Consortium, previously known as the Penny Post, and his life had been entirely taken up with learning how to wear the respectable uniform and hold the envelopes just so, which he was quite good at, by the way, but had left little time for exploring variety in vocabulary. The factory. Regimen rushed up the steps slowly and deliberately, but with great haste, which was another thing he had mastered at the MPC. Sweat flowed from his brow and down into the great collar of his uniform, moistening it rather copiously, for this was the terrible situation. Regimen had foolishly and carelessly worn his shiny, tall, black hat instead of the smooth navy blue one. Oh, the shame! The black hat didn't absorb the sweat in the way that his regulation blue one would have, and also looked shockingly mismatched with his uniform. He could feel the disapproval of the office clerks as he was led into the great Sir Smythe's inner sanctum. Scoffing and tittering abounded as his great embarrassment was noticed. Oh, dearie, oh. Suddenly, a beautiful grass finch, that dazzlingly colorful but most mischievous of birds, screeched into the lobby and snatched the hat right off the head of our miserable postman. He flew out the window with it and off to parts unknown, lost to our story forever. Regimen was befuddled. The clerks were bemused. But his training was impeccable, and Regimen drew himself up with dignity and smoothed his hair, which was difficult because it was covered with sweat, and a few bird feathers, and also a little barrette that his daughter had adorned him with when they had played together before work. Nonetheless, the uniform spoke volumes, even though Regimen didn't. He simply pulled a regulation postal kerchief from his regulation pocket and tied it around his regulation head with proper regulation knots, and, still properly holding the important letter just so, strode into Sir Smythe's office. "Your letter, sir." They had taught him how to say that at the consortium, obviously, and placed it gently on the desk. Sir turned around, and on his head was the sweaty, gleaming hat, with the beautiful grass finch on top doing a little bird jig and clicking his beak in rhythm to the dance. I guess the bird wasn't out of our story forever after all. My mistake. "Look at what my sweet Snookums has found me," boomed Smythe, for he had as loud a voice as his nose was large, which is to say enormous. "A sweaty hat, how lucky! And there's a sandwich inside." Oh, thought Regimen, my lunch. And he sighed a deep sigh, but silently in his head, because decorum and dignity were the hallmarks of a Manchester postal officer. Out loud he said, "Very good, sir." And he took a little bow in the approved way of postal officers and walked out of the office, through the lobby, and back into the blazing sun. There were no further guffaws or titterings this time, because Regimen looked rather dashing in his postal kerchief, and also all the employees had left for lunch. The end.